What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a pretty simple one. It's just going to be a single roundup. A bunch of songs have come out in the last while, no real time frame, and I'm going to be talking about them and giving them, a ye na, or like, as the scale goes, ye na. How do I do this? Okay, ye na, ye yeehaw.
This backwards stuff's hard, man.
I'm also repping the It's Okay to Think About Country Music shirt. You guys went crazy for both the shirts, the Thicket one and this. I think they're all sold out. They've been reordered, just so you know. These videos definitely get harder and harder to make as the music industry changes because so many artists now just put out song after song after song, and I feel like, okay, sweet, I reviewed the last Zac Brown song, and then they put out another one like You and Islands. And like Miranda Lambert's last record, I remember they released something like 6 songs in advance. Morgan Wallen just did that, where 7 Summers is kind of a single, but is it a single? But just generally, there is a lot more music being released in single form, and so I'm just saying in advance, I can't get to all of it. There's no way to review every freaking song from like the Texas scene and the indie scene and the mainstream and try and be at all comprehensive, so these things freaking stress me out, so let's just get into the songs I'm covering today. First one I gotta talk about is from the legend that sits in a painting right there. Mr. Randy Travis himself has his first new single in a long time. It's called Fool's Love Affair.
It's a fool's love affair.
It is so cool to hear Randy Travis's voice, so distinctive, so traditional, just in its prime on this song. And the reason is not because he has recorded it anew. He actually just got in the recording booth for the first time since his stroke in 2013 to sing the final Amen on Josh Turner's cover of Forever and Ever Amen on Josh Turner's new record, which I will be talking about soon. But actually this song was recorded back before his 1986 debut, and now, almost 40 years later, they have dug up this track and remastered it, and it sounds awesome. Not hard to guess what this song is about from the title. It's about an affair, and about how both parties involved in the affair know what they're doing and know that it's not going to fulfill them, but they're doing it anyway, going to the same motel, giving each other the same lines. And I think the feeling of the song with the slow piano and the steel and the fiddle, it matches that melancholy, it matches that forlorn attitude. And then, of course, Randy Travis also delivers it impeccably. This gets a huge yeehaw. But now let's travel to a very different part of country music. Let's talk about the new song from Dan and Shay, I Should Probably Go to Bed.
I should probably go to bed. I should probably turn.
Of all the mainstream country acts that lean into a pop sound, I'd say there are few acts that do it as aggressively as Dan and Shay. But increasingly in this space, I find myself sometimes defending Dan and Shay because their vocals are always absolutely on point, and I always say you can never say anything bad about the vocals. And y'all know the conversations that people have about boyfriend country and how it feels really derivative, that all these sort of sappy love songs are getting sung by all of these big artists. I kind of think Dan and Shay was there first. I kind of think they're the ones that sort of made the trend go boom. And in the same way that I think Florida Georgia Line deserves some credit for starting bro country, and it's a lot of the people that just straight up copied them that I find annoying, I kind of feel similarly about Dan and Shay sometimes. But yeah, let's be real, their music is a really freaking poppy. I think I called it Nashville pop last year and said it was like a mix of almost like 90s R&B with boy bands, with Christian contemporary, with country music. And somewhere in that little vanilla package is where I put Dan and Shay's music. But sometimes it's very good. Unfortunately, I do not think this is one of those times. I don't think I Should Probably Go to Bed is close to one of their best songs. This is a song that's like an almost booty call where the guy wants to maybe reconnect with an ex, but he realizes he should put away his phone, he should probably just go to bed. But I really don't understand the production on this song. To me, it feels like it's an a cappella track. It feels almost kind of soothing and mellow, even though the words of this are talking about this kind of tortured late night feeling. Instead, I feel like the music is the embodiment of just the bed part of I Should Probably Go to Bed. It feels kind of sleepy and pleasant even. I don't feel like the sonic elements of this song really serve the story of this song especially well. They just sound kind of nice, even the orchestral strings and the big bellowing kind of blocks of notes that are put behind the chorus. Now, I will say the vocals on this are excellent, as always. They sound absolutely excellent. I think there's a lot of moments in this song where they emphasize the range that Shay has, and you can hear Dan's harmony a lot more distinctly than you often can on their songs. Even for Dan and Shay, it's pretty poppy, but really it's just really weird. I'm gonna give it a yee nah, but I don't hate the guys. Then let's talk about the new single from Lauren Alaina. It's a duet with Jon Pardi. It's called Getting Over Him. I believe so much in Lauren Alaina's talent, and I think a lot of people do, given that she is the go-to person for duets in country music. I feel like every single time that a dude comes out with an album, there is usually a feature from Lauren Alaina on it, so it's cool to see her have a feature of her own. She was on Jon Pardi's Heartache Medication record on a gorgeous track called Don't Blame It on Whiskey that I freaking am obsessed with, and now Jon Pardi is on her track, a new one from an upcoming EP called Getting Over Him. The song has a lot tougher of an edge on it than Getting Good or The Other Side, songs that she's put out recently. This one is very flirtatious and it plays up her spunk, and I think Lauren is really good at delivering that vocally. And I think lyrically the song has a good concept. She starts it off and sings the first chorus where she's like, I want to get over a bad relationship and you're my getting over him guy. And then Jon Pardi is like, I can be your getting over him guy, and then they kind of sing together at the end. That all works. And I actually think Jon Pardi gets to sing the best line of the song where he says, denim on denim, forget him. Denim on denim, forget him, yeah. I like the similar sounding words in that line. But I think the naughtiness and playfulness is kind of ruined by like the wall of sound of the chorus. It's the exact same way that I felt about Nobody But You, the Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani duet, where I was just like, damn, why does it have to be just so loud and in your face? But maybe that works when it's playing kind of in the background or a radio is just turned up far away from you. But when you're just listening to it, you're like, oh man, I want that flirtation. I want to feel like you guys are really about to hook up and go get kind of some revenge on this ex of hers. So I think the song is pretty good, not great. I'll give it a like decent yee. And I'll keep rooting for Lauren Alaina, even though I feel like her career has been somewhat messy. There are just like moments of such incredible excellence. Even from her last record, what have I really been coming back to? Painting Pillows? Ugh, that could be like a Dina Carter song. That song's so good. Okay, I'm talking way too much about these songs, so these next ones are going to be a little bit faster. But the next one I want to talk about is Parker McCollum's Young Man's Blues. Parker is someone that just has buzz around him. You can feel it. I can feel it when the DMs are all pouring in and people are like, you gotta talk about Parker McCollum, you gotta talk about Wetzel. I affectionately call those people co-bros, and they're generally gonna be dudes in college in Texas. But when I first checked him out and listened to Pretty Heart, I was like, I feel like that song's fine. And people were like, no, check out his old stuff. So I listened to Hell of a Year, and I was like, damn, that's a very good song. And then he came out with a song earlier this year called Like a Cowboy, which was his own spin on this like old Randy Montana song. And I was like, okay, this is a really, really good song. And now his new single, Young Man's Blues, is actually a co-write with Randy Montana. So I don't know if they became friends or if they'd recorded it before he recorded Like a Cowboy. But this song, Young Man's Blues, is by far my favorite thing I have heard from Parker McCollum. This is a song about the angst of being a young man, and you kind of don't want to grow up, but you do want to grow up at the same time. I mean, this is a sort of central tension that a lot of artists, people like Dierks Bentley and Eric Church, express in their music. And I think Parker's voice has a natural wariness, a natural kind of sad boy quality that is really suited to this type of existential question. Like, am I going to grow out of these young man's blues? In the words of Ben Folds, it sucks to grow up, but if it leads to really good music like this, then I'm glad that Parker is struggling with it. So I give this song a yeehaw. Then let's talk about Parker's buddy Wetzel, who has a new song called Sundy or Mundy. This is Sunday. This is Monday. Even just saying the title of that song, I'm not sure if you're supposed to say Sunday or Monday, or if it's just supposed to be inscrutable. And I kind of think that's representative of Wetzel in general. I feel like y'all red-pilled me. Y'all made me listen to Wetzel, and now I'm like kind of becoming a co-bro. I'm kind of getting it. I'm enjoying the performance art of his just larger-than-life persona with the Gucci slides, but hunting these... I don't know how to describe him, but he's a character and he's funny, and you listen to him on a podcast and he's like, yeah, I want to call my next album Pop Country Trash, and he doesn't even really consider himself country, and neither do I feel like I've always said he's much more in the rock lane, much more reminds me of Nirvana. This is all just a statement about Wetzel, because I don't have a ton to say about this song, because the song's not much of like a journey as much as it is just a vibe. And he's like a mix of angry and lonely and horny and possibly drunk or on some kind of bender, and he's shooting a guy and then asking the preacher for forgiveness, and it kind of feels like an acid trip of a song where even the narrator doesn't really know what's going on. That's literally one of the main refrains of the song, who fucking knows. I find it interesting and vibey, but there's not really a sort of melodic moment that sticks with me in this song. Definitely not as much as Country and Western, his last single, where it's like, I think I lost my effing mind. Like, that is so easy to sing along to. This isn't really the same, so I'm just gonna give this a strong yee. But also, it's kind of not that country. This is, like, at all. It's rock. If I'm gonna say it about Dan and Shay, I'm gonna say it about Wetzel. It's only fair. But then let's just finish off the sad boy Texas trifecta and talk about Kolby Cooper and his song If I Still Had It.
Well, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped staring at my phone.
Kolby is someone that increasingly over the past 2 years, I'm hearing his name mentioned more and more and more. And I checked out this new song of his called If I Still Had It, and I think it's solid. Kolby's voice is excellent. That's where I would start the conversation around him. I feel like it's got a lot of conviction and a lot of strength. In some ways, this song actually reminded me of a Luke Combs song. It's about not being able to move on from a relationship, and he'd stop drinking and smoking and staring at his phone, and he'd actually take his heart and give it to someone else if he still had it. He doesn't have his heart. She left him heartbroken, and he's still got that diamond in the closet. It's got a pretty rock-influenced production, and there's a lot of electric guitar present on the song, and I think his voice can handle that. But for me, just like the shortcoming of the song is in the writing, which feels like it relies on some really basic, kind of overused imagery of jukeboxes and trucks and diamonds, and it can make it feel a little faceless as a song. Almost like this is the generic breakup experience for dudes, not his breakup experience. So this is another one like Co that I'm giving a strong yee, but Kolby Cooper, to all you guys that message me all the time, he's on my radar. Okay, it's been over an hour I've been shooting this, so these are actually gonna go fast from here on out. Next up is Hardy's Give Heaven Some Hell.
I hope you hit those gold streets on two wheels. Hope you
I find this song very interesting. I find the anthemic vibe of it, with it also being a song about mourning the loss of one of your bros, fascinating. It's taking all these visions of heaven, like the streets of gold and like having a mansion in the sky, but imagining a country guy's version of heaven and saying like, yeah, I hope you're on your four-wheeler. I hope you give heaven some hell. I hope it's a little raucous up there. It's a little cheesy, but I think it works. It's definitely got that rock vibe, and it's as much production as I can really handle before I'm like, this drives me crazy. I think it's a unique song. I'll give it a light yeehaw. And then let's talk about Gary Allan's Waste of a Whiskey Drink.
She's gonna climb in your car. She's gonna mess up your sheets.
The song is fine. I don't think there's anything that special about it. It was actually co-written by Hardy, and I get why he didn't record it himself. I feel like there's more creative ways to say like, this girl's gonna break your heart, and I think there's something a little bit immature feeling about like a guy Gary Allan's age saying like, that girl's a waste of a whiskey drink. That just feels kind of petty and youthful in a way that he doesn't. It's not bad, but it's not much. It's just a yee. After that, let's talk about Emily Scott Robinson's The Time for Flowers.
And when I woke up this morning, something deep had shifted.
Emily is someone that I just absolutely fell in love with her music last year. Her album Traveling Mercies was one of my very, very favorites. And this is the first song she has released since that album, and it is as delicate and willowy and pure as all of her music is. There have been so many great quarantine songs released. I feel like War With My Mind by Flatland Cavalry, about kind of feeling like you're going crazy. There was Talk to You by Gabe Lee, about kind of almost like a faith struggle. Welcome to Hard Times by Charlie Crockett has just been almost like a humorous, like, well, here we are. And The Time for Flowers by Emily Scott Robinson is now sort of a hopeful spin forward, saying like, whatever this time is that we're in, one with anxiety and strife and the world feeling so divided, like the time for flowers will come again, and flowers are such an image of hope. And it just feels quiet and patient and pretty, and it gets a yeehaw from me. Now the exact opposite vibe is the next song I want to say, which is Skeletons by Brothers Osborne. I like this song way more than their song All Night that they recently released. This song has just like this dirty, great energy about it. I like when the Brothers Osborne do that, and they kind of lean into this like chugging, scuzzy, that's always the word that comes to mind, like 70s rock vibe. This is a song about calling out a liar, and it's just got an amazing hook. That last line of the chorus, "You've got skeletons in your closet and I got bones to pick with them," that is worth the price of admission alone. I freaking love it. Yeehaw. Then there's Happy Anywhere with Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani.
The blue sky over till you ride. Next to you's kinda overrated.
So increasingly it feels like Blake is gonna always release songs with Gwen Stefani, and I don't know if you saw Bryan kind of shade that on Twitter recently when I think they were playfully riffing, but that made me laugh. But I really prefer this one to their last duet together because I felt like Nobody But You just was loud. I'm really hating that kind of wall of sound feeling that I'm trying to describe, where the choruses hit too hard and you are left with just sort of ambient production noises, not really instruments. I feel like it just removes so much personality from songs. And what I like about Happy Anywhere is it doesn't do that. You still feel the guitar and the little plucked banjo and just a really breezy, open vibe that still feels lovely and romantic. I don't think the lyrics are that groundbreaking, but I don't think they're bad. I enjoy the mentions of Telluride. I enjoy him describing himself as a Rolling Stone, and that whatever map dot they're on, they're happy to be there with each other. I mean, it's simple, but it works. I think it sounds nice. I just think everything about it feels tasteful and pretty, so it gets a light yeehaw from me. I was gonna talk about some of these new TikTok singles that keep hitting #1 on iTunes. I know Priscilla Block had Just About Over You hit #1.
Why'd you have to come back in right then, right when I was just getting good and gone?
Then Alexandra K had I Kinda Don't hit #1.
And I kinda wanna hate you, kinda wanna be you.
Then Cooper Allen had New Normal. As I'm filming this, it's the #1 song on iTunes Country.
Getting used to this beautiful view every time I wake up.
But I'm like, damn, I cannot open this can of worms. And I'm gonna do something on country TikTok coming up soon. So of those 3 songs, I would say my favorite one of them is I Kinda Don't by Alexandra K, just because I think it's really pretty. But I think the biggest hit of them is definitely gonna be Priscilla Block's, as we mentioned right here on the channel in the last country TikTok video. I mean, Priscilla Block, I hope you're gonna cut that. That girl's got something. There's also Mickey Guyton's Heaven Down Here.
We can use a little more heaven.
Mickey Guyton is someone that's been on my radar for a long time, and still my favorite thing I have heard from her is this like ballad from 6 years ago called Better Than You Left Me that I just think is such a powerhouse, and I wish it had become a hit. But this year it seems like she's had a new swell of momentum, or at least a lot of media attention. I don't know if it's necessarily translating into like a lot more success. It's hard to tell this year, but a lot of that momentum has come from sort of statement songs, things like What Are You Gonna Tell Her and Black Like Me, the former of which is reflecting on being a woman in America and specifically in the country music industry, and then the latter of which is reflecting on being black in America. Her new single is called Heaven Down Here, and it is a more kind of hopeful look at the world. It's literally a prayer to God saying like, we could use some heaven on this earth that feels so divided. And I just wish I liked this single more. I think Mickey's voice is clearly incredible. Mickey's voice is clearly incredible, but I feel like the writing and the production is so just like generic. There's almost no imagery anywhere in the songs. It's saying like, hey God, there's a lot of problems and it's hard to deal with the world. And I'm just always gonna be drawn to songwriting that feels personal, where you're getting like proper names, where you're getting places that someone is. But to me, a song like this feels like it's just trying to be a salve for the whole world, and to me that makes it boring actually. And I definitely don't think the production helps it stand out. It feels like it's trying to blend in with the sounds of radio. And I don't like the double vocal track that runs almost all the way through the song, or the just pounding percussion. I don't know, I feel like, you know, conflicted sometimes. I don't want to even bring people up when I don't like stuff, when I haven't really talked about them on the channel before, but it is what it is. It's like, you know, somewhere between like a light yee-nah and a yee. I would love to hear a hopeful song with incisive lines like what came from What Are You Gonna Tell Her? If we can do that on like the calling out side of music, of saying like, your friend's older brother is gonna keep his hands to himself. I wanna hear that kind of a line that just immediately grounds you in a story, in a positive song too. And then let's finish up this video with Bryan and his song Oklahoma City.
If you ever decide side, bring your pain and your pride back to this side of Oklahoma City.
Zach Bryan, I've talked about him on the channel here before. I've interviewed him on the channel here before. I've reviewed both of his albums, and I know y'all love him, and he's just sort of like the wonderkind of indie country, and it's like, despite not trying hard at all, he's having all this success, and people love to love this guy that's so hard on himself. Well, he's dropped the song Oklahoma City, and just like all of his songwriting, it's very earnest, it's very wordy, it's kind of balancing dark and light. But the twist on this song is that he's pointing that at another person, not really kind of at the conflict in his own heart. There's some character that left Oklahoma City, and he is reassuring him that, hey man, if you ever come back and you want to bring your pain and your pride back to Oklahoma City, I'll have a porch light on for you, and you can spend some time here. And speaking of specifics, this song has all these just little moments that make it feel rooted and alive. When Mrs. Cole just asked about you 3 days back and I didn't have an answer to give her. I don't know who Mrs. Cole is, and I don't need to. I can imagine it in my mind. Look in my eyes and you might remember the weed out in Norman or the Stillwater Strip. To me, what that means is they must have smoked some weed out in Norman, and they must have gone to some kind of mall or group of bars in another town called Stillwater. Like, we're smart. We can put the puzzle pieces in, but it's just nice when there's stuff to work with. Some real things to sink your teeth into in a song. Production-wise, this is a slight step up from the sounds that we heard on Zach Bryan's album Elizabeth. He's got his new wife on background vocals, and he's got a fiddle player in there. I think they're calling this the Belting Bronco that they've released this as. But according to Zach Bryan, this is going to be the last really lo-fi recording he puts out. He says, after I get off a long damn deployment, I'll be working on something with my story. Self-titled and professionally produced. Got all the DIY out of my system for now, but I gotta let people hear what I already have out for now. And so maybe this is the end of an era, and we can all say, dude, we were early. We heard Zach Bryan before the world did, because because as soon as he gets in a studio with a real producer, I'm dying here. Basically, Zach Bryan's gonna be famous. We all know it. I'm losing my voice. I've just shot for an hour and a half. I hope you liked these yeehaw, yee-nahs. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be back soon, and I'm gonna get some water. Goodbye.